That's what I thought. Don't think that's right. It's well, step ladder tomorrow. Yeah, don't worry about it.
We tried.
I'll get an OSHA approved chair tomorrow and stand on it and put it out.
There are kosher food chairs.
Of course.
I wonder if there has some support for sturdy
Yeah, that'd be
legs.
fun.
We don't have a little stuff that. Step stool.
I know somebody who broke their leg doing that on a chair. They went right through the back.
Oh.
John Fallon's wife, when she was working out at St. George School years ago with an age, she got up on a chair, and
Oh.
her leg went right through here.
Oh.
And the chair went over, she went over, and broke her leg.
That would be painful.
That's why you should use a chair. I know. That makes it worse. Before we had these phones, we probably weren't good ourselves that.
No.
Okay, let's go.
Is there anybody coming from the parking lot? No.
Okay. Because people weren't so touchy. Started. Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order of the Southampton Board of Selectmen, July 12th at 6 p.m. And it's not on the agenda, but I'd like to extend welcome to Sue for the first meeting.
Thank you.
Hopefully, it'll be many more. And I'm gonna turn it over to Terry, the town clerk, for election of chair.
Are there any nominations for chair?
I nominate John Spear for chair for one more year.
And seconds?
I second that.
Are there any further nominations? You get to vote.
Yeah.
All right,
You're gonna call for the vote.
I call for the vote. I need a script for this, John.
Yeah.
All in favor of John?
Do you have to make a motion? Or we just-
No, we did the nomination is a vote, right?
All right.
And I'm gonna abstain. Because there is a pecuniary interest in being chair. I think you get an extra $100.
Woo!
It'll work it.
I don't want to digress too far, but I think Thomas is running into that same, the exact problem. Each of the individuals running for a position, an officer position, abstained, and so it was a split vote, so now they have that in it. And I maintain that you shouldn't abstain unless there's an interest in dollars, which.
Which here in this case, there is, yeah. Okay, thank you very much for your confidence. And I hope we can get back to the tradition of who's ever in their last term is chair. That's what I would hope. Last year of their term, which we did for years and years. Not required, but I think it's a nice touch. But anyways, adjustments to the agenda. Terry, do you?
We have several.
Okay.
We'll take enough. Okay. Oil bid update,
Okay.
paving budget update,
Yeah, that was I requested. Yeah.
Mallow's email and correspondence.
Yeah.
We have another catering permit application from Rowley's Bar and Grill. Tennis basketball court update. And an agreement with DOT.
Okay. Public comment for items not, oh, excuse me, either of you have any adjustments?
The only thing I'd like to do is move the catering up.
Yeah, I will do that. Do you have anything you want to add? Or? Okay. Public comment for items not on the agenda? Seeing none, review and approval of prior minutes of June 7th. Is there a motion?
I move we approve the minutes for June 21st.
And I'll second that since you weren't here. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, well, there's no objection. I'm gonna move up under new business A, consider the catering application on the rocks bartending service for August 20th, 2020. And I believe there's an application, a sketch in your packet. Questions, concerns, or the representative here, if you do have questions or concerns?
Not read through all of it. Is the alcohol going to be served just inside or outside as well?
At this time, it's all inside.
Any other questions? This is the second one we've approved over there, or is it the third? I can't remember.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Further discussion? All those in favor? 3-0. We're gonna sign that too, right?
Yep.
We'll work that around, and then you can get out of here.
Appreciate that.
Why don't we take up the other application? Since
While we're
we're,
at it.
since we're, yeah, while we're at it. They came in late.
We just signed that. So we're good with stickies.
Terry, that's in our supplemental packet here?
Yes. It's in the supplemental packet, yes.
Now, is there anything about, not so much the speeding up the process or being able to make an application and or like sometimes it comes up, someone has an event like last weekend and we have go for the board and it takes, like 2 weeks to 3 weeks to do that. So it kind of stretches us thin when it comes to someone wanting to have something on a day that's open.
Yeah.
For the event or
Well,
in the town.
we, under the law, we can, as a board, delegate that to a third party,
Mhm.
such as Terry. But we voted, what was it, 3 or 4 meetings ago, not to do that and put that on Terry because of some controversy surrounding some of these.
Okay.
So I think that that's possible in the future if things go well and we don't have complaints. But at this point, unless one of you two want to make a motion to rescind that, our position at this point is we're not ready to put that responsibility on Terry. This is kind of new to South
All right.
Pond.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I do think that in the not too distant future, we should be able to do that.
If things go well.
Right. Barring any issues. Yeah. But because it is so new and there was a lot of controversy, as you're probably aware, we just want to make sure that it is as transparent as possible initially.
And don't want to put Terry in the middle at this point, so. But, okay, that satisfactory answer?
Sure.
Okay, so Terry, we have another application from Rowley's Bar and Grill,
Yes,
and the location is
brewery.
on Waterman's Beach Road?
Yep.
Correct. And the hours are 5 to 10 p.m. Event is 7:14. This was not on the agenda. And I like to have things on the agenda, but I guess they didn't. Did they know ahead of
I
time?
don't know, he didn't contact me until Monday. What's that day, Tuesday? Yeah, it's Monday.
But obviously, by the time we meet again, 7:14 will be,
Yes, 'cause it's
Gone.
Thursday. It's Thursday.
Rowley's obviously has had a liquor license for many years, so I would assume they know the laws and we've never had, to my knowledge, there's never been any issues at the brew So I guess it's up to you guys if you want to, number one, act on this.
I'm with that.
Okay,
We approved the application. What was it, the
14, Thursday night, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rosie's Bar,
Yeah.
that's a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second motion.
Okay, further discussion? Again, I would like to see these come in ahead of time, so the public is notified that an event is happening and they have a right to come in and talk about it. But
Did you sign that?
I haven't got it yet. I'm working on it. So, all those in favor? Harry, do you need to make a copy of this?
Yes, I do sign it. Yes. You can go right there and forward. This is the second one, so.
Just a minute. Copy.
Yeah,
I'll take just a brief recess here for a second.
Have you guys visited the brewery? No,
I
I've never been there.
Waterman's Beach?
You've been there.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, I'm sorry. Yes, I am.
Thank you.
I don't know. Sorry, I was thinking of the location where you were in, but yeah.
Night.
Thanks.
Tell me when you're ready. Good to go?
Yep.
Okay. Discussion of amending the meeting policy. I did get some comments back from one chairperson, Chair of the Budget Committee, Moira, which I addressed in an email. I don't know if you guys got a chance to read that. It was just today that I addressed those. Yeah. Basically, her comments were that she thought it should be 5 business days. I think it's been a long-standing tradition of 5 days. I think 5 business days is a lot, particularly if there's a Monday holiday. And we're just gonna end up with more things as adjustments to the agenda, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of public notice. So I personally want to stick with the 5. Then she was questioning about whether they could take up other items that weren't on the agenda at their budget committee meetings, and my response to that is they could, as long as they had an item on the agenda that said something to the effect adjustments to the agenda or other business. But if there wasn't that on the agenda, then they shouldn't. And then she asked if what are the ramifications if you have a meeting, no one has to know if you get the meeting set up on Zoom and there's a quorum. There are people from the public, but the meeting is not taped, not virtual. I sent back and I said I have two comments here. One is, in essence, the policy requires the chairs ensure that someone is available, set up and run a remote session such as Zoom. And two, the policy says if there's a bona fide reason why it can't be Zoom, the power's out or the computer breaks or whatever, the proposed policy doesn't, any action taken at the meeting is not invalid. So I think that sort of covers her last concern. And then she suggested that if we do adopt this policy or something similar, that we should give a copy to all committee members as well as then. And I said, we certainly can do that, as well as to give it to any new committee members over time. And I personally think that's a good idea. So those are her comments. I had one other thought that I'll share with you. I think we should add something to the effect that nothing in here prohibits a committee from enacting some stricter requirements, such as, say, the planning board wants their application so many days in advance. And I don't want it to be read in a way that they can't do that. And I don't know if you guys had any other thoughts or comments.
No, I think that ought to be added, but I think the rest of it's good.
Okay, well, I'll draft something and just send it out, and then if it's good, we can, if you guys want to make a motion to approve it with that addendum to be added, it should only be a sentence. I'll draft it and send it out, and then we can sign it. So is there a motion to that effect?
Yeah, I move we approve the new policy as with your recommended amendment.
Okay, motion.
Further discussion? Is there any, I know there is another chair here. I don't know if you were fine with it, so I didn't hear from you, so I assume you were fine, so. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay, 3-0. Okay, the next item is the acceptable use policy, which governs computers. Terry, do you want to take the lead on this? I have not been too plugged into this.
Sure. So earlier in the year, we had gotten a suggestion from MMA that they had come up with a new computer use policy. They're kind of recommending for everyone, and it was kind of more geared towards bigger towns with more computers, more people.
using it.
And so after we reviewed it several times, I finally sent our copy to them. And I also sent it to Gus, our IT guy, and MMA came back and said ours was acceptable. And Gus suggested adding one small line, which was, oh, I don't have the copy where it's in red.
Is it the one in red?
Yeah,
It says, do not leave written down passwords in unsecured areas or in plain text.
yeah, that's what Gus suggested. And other than
That's
that,
a good suggestion.
other than that, if everyone says ours is.
What's wrong with that? I do that. I tape it on my computer. How else would I remember? Okay, so if we enact this, this will be distributed to all our employees and all our committee members or whatever. Is that the thought? Or is it just
I think
people,
it's
or is it just employees?
Just employees, I don't think the committee members.
Okay.
It's our computers.
Okay, I see.
And all we're doing is amending our existing.
Yes, yeah, just adding a little blurb.
And Sue, just so you know, MMA stands for Maine Municipal Association.
I didn't know that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and they're also our insurer.
Yeah.
We're in an insurance pool, okay.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this, would this apply to committees using computers, their own or others, to link in, the Zoom to the meeting?
Not really.
As long as it's our own computers, it doesn't apply.
But this is for the town
Town-owned
town
computers.
owned
devices.
town employees using the town computers.
So it's only if we borrow a town computer to look up a Zoom meet.
Yeah, then I theoretically it might apply, yeah.
But what would apply? I'm gonna put password, I'm gonna tell them the password and.
Yeah.
I mean,
And don't write
it's not like you're gonna
And don't leave it lying
take
on
it
the table.
anywhere.
I mean, what's in there is you can't use it for obscene or illegal or dangerous searches on the web.
And it's currently our current policy,
And that's already our,
with the exception of one line, so. So are we ready to vote on the amended policy?
I would move to amend the policy. As indicated in Terry's draft.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Okay, I just wanted to give you a quick update on the tax acquired property. Stu, I don't know if you know, but we tax acquired a piece of property over on Westbrook Street.
Yeah, I read that.
Yeah, and we kicked it around a couple of meetings what to do about it, and one of the things, we decided to put it out to bid, but we also decided to talk to our attorney to see if it might be worth it to sell it by a warranty deed as opposed to a quitclaim deed, which simply, I don't know if you know the difference between those, but one is we warrant that we have good and full interest in the property, and one is we just giving you whatever inches we have, which may be.
And you may have some issues with
Right, right. So, so I did talk to her after the last meeting. She suggested just put it out to bid with both, and if the bidders indicated any substantial difference between the two, then we could look into doing it on the warranty basis. But if it's only a couple of $1,000, it's not gonna be worth it, because it's gonna take more than that to quiet the title to get a warranty deed. So that's kind of where we're at, and it's out to bid, and the bids are due.
August 10th.
August 11th at 4
Yeah,
p.m.
I'm moving backwards.
Yeah. Yeah. At which time they will be publicly opened and read aloud. I guess Terry will do that, or I can come in and do it with Terry or something like that, but it's not gonna be a formal meeting. We're just gonna open it in case anybody's there and wants to see what the others are, so. And then, of course, we don't have to sell it. We made that very clear. That we can reject any and all bids in the package, so. So that's where that's at. I probably should say, Stu, just for your benefit, the Conservation Commission recommended that we just keep the land open and not put it out to bid. We decided to, let's put it out to bid, see what we can get, and perhaps if we take any proceeds that we might get from that and put it aside in a fund that perhaps could be used to purchase some other more high value piece of land, not high value cost wise, but high
High
value,
value
like a
for
marsh or a
Right.
kayak launch or whatever, you know, so. So there was some talk about that too, so. Okay. Appointments. Yeah, do you want to run these? We'll try to do them quickly, or?
Yeah, that's-
I would like to do them separately, I think, unless, well, maybe not.
I think some of them will do together.
Okay,
So. Now, I think each one of them. I make a motion that we appoint Terry Baines as the town administrator, town clerk, tax collector, treasurer, Freedom of Access Act administrator, and the general assistance administrator.
or turn that in.
I don't have that on my notes.
Well, with
The first select board meeting after the
2020
2020.
town meeting.
Okay, first select board meeting after the 2023 town meeting.
Second,
I second that.
further discussion? Gonna go over this quickly, all those in favor?
I move we appoint the addressing, Arthur Grierson as the addressing officer and the E911 coordinator for a term of 1 year, to the first select board meeting after the town meeting in 2023.
A second.
I'll second that.
All further discussion? All those in favor?
I move that we appoint Amy Drinkwater as the ambulance director for a term of 1 year ending until the first select board meeting after the town meeting in 2023.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion? Actually, I have some discussion. Didn't it come up last year with it where this is not a statutory position that we don't need?
But we did still.
But we
appoint
did
her.
still appoint,
Yeah.
okay, but we're not required to by law, but we can. That's my understanding. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I move that we appoint Troy Peasley as the animal control officer for a term until the first select board meeting after the town meeting in 2023.
Second that. Yeah. Discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
I move we appoint Penelope Alley as the cemetery overseer for a term until the first select board meeting after the town meeting in 2023.
I'll second that.
Second. Discussion? All those in favor?
I move we appoint Dan Dates as the CEO and the LPI until the first select board meeting following the town meeting in 2023.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
I move we appoint Betty Thomas as the EMA director for a year for the first select board meeting following the town meeting in 2023.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I move that we appoint Penny Alley as the library director until the first select board meeting and after the town meeting in 2020.
I'll second that.
Discussion? I actually have some discussion. I spoke briefly, to Penny, about this. I would like to consider revising her title to Library and Community Center Director. I think that, I know it's only words, but I think words are important, and I think it's reflecting what she's doing. She's much more than a librarian down there. And I would, I would strongly recommend that, and, you know, if Penny wants to comment on that in front of, I talked to her myself, so if she wants to comment on that in front of you two, I would certainly welcome that, but I would actually put that in the form of a motion to amend the title, right, yeah.
And I would say,
Okay, so discussion. Penny, do you have anything to add to that, or?
I would be appreciative of the expanded title because the library has been the community center for many years.
Okay. So, do you want to just amend your motion, friendly
I think
amendment?
that's what you just did. You
Well,
just amended-
but then I got thinking after, can we just amend your motion?
Either way.
Simply appoint her as the library community center director, and then we only got to vote once, and Terry's only got to typo once.
Oh, I'm way behind you guys.
Oh, you mean way ahead of us?
So Jeff's motion would simply be to appoint Penny as the library and community center director for a period of, and then we'll be done with it. Is there
As long as Sue's comfortable with that change.
Yes, I am.
okay. Okay, further discussion. All those in favor? Okay, good.
Okay, so I move to appoint Phil Barrell as the register of voters
I second that.
for a term
Oh, sorry.
until the first select board meeting after the town meeting in 2023.
I second that.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
I move to appoint John Spear as the interim uncompensated road commissioner for a term of 1 year to the first select board meeting following the town meeting in 2022.
I second that.
although John Spear may resign that position, we would get a non-interim road commissioner. So. All those in favor? I'm gonna abstain, even though there's no pecuniary interest here, but I'm still gonna abstain.
All right, so I move we appoint Phil Verrill as the interim demo debris facility operator for a term until the first select board meeting following the 2023 town meeting.
I second that.
Discussion. I just think that at some point in the not too distant future, we need to sort of sit down or at least get on the agenda and have a discussion. Because as we know, Jerry held both those positions and we need to figure out what we're gonna do in the long term. But with that in mind, I think Phil's doing a pretty good job, keeping things organized out there, and we do have to have an operator under our operating manual, so. So, all those in favor?
Okay, so now for Irvin Gabe, these are both 1 year or no? Are these 3 year?
Three.
3 year for both of them?
Yeah.
Okay, so 23, 25. All right, so I make a motion to appoint Irv Curtis and Gabe Tomasulo to the planning board for 3-year terms till the select board meeting following the first select board meeting following the 2025 town meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Discussion. Terry, so this leaves us with 4 active members, correct? If this motion passes.
Yes.
Can you,
Irv,
Gabe, Catherine?
Dave, Catherine, and
Cindy.
Cindy, yeah.
Right, okay. Okay, all those in favor? And Jeff, I noticed you skipped over the, I don't know why the Irish School Board rep was on there. It really shouldn't have been on there because that's an elected position.
Yeah, I didn't even see it.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing because it really shouldn't be on there, so.
Well, they asked me before his appointment. What's your
He's
name?
elected, though.
Well,
You gotta, I think,
you gonna
We-
argue with it?
yeah, we can't
Okay.
appoint him.
All right. I'll
We don't
find
have
out.
the authority. to appoint him.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah, because that's what I always thought.
I think you.
I thought that's
I
what we
think-
discussed last time and. she
Well, no,
asked me
because
last time.
we appointed him as an interim
you, right?
No,
to fill
he was-
someone's
He
term.
was voted on it last time meeting.
No,
No, he filled Blaine's term.
Right.
Okay,
That's why we appointed him.
okay,
So we can appoint someone to the next election. So if he resigned tomorrow, we could now appoint someone to June of next year.
good luck.
Yeah. I know. So, but I just wanted to make it clear to the public that that's why we're not acting on it.
Okay,
Now, if they're looking for something, they can get a certification from you saying that he was elected at town meeting, and you can attest it or whatever, and
I will reach out.
they're getting awful fussy if they,
Yeah,
that's not like them.
And so the appeals board is that, those are for life, right?
Yeah,
yeah, yes,
So those 3 years as well?
yes.
Okay. So I move we appoint Richard Ratcliffe and Rolf Winters to the Board of Appeals for a 3-year term to the first select board meeting following the town meeting in 2025.
I'll second that.
further discussion. I have a question here, so where this gives us 4 appeals board members, if this motion passes? I know one is Leslie Spear.
Right. Leslie, is Eileen still on there?
No,
You sure he's on there?
yeah, actually, I replaced her.
Without the final read,
But she
I
came,
thought we had 4.
Eileen came back.
Did she?
I think Eileen is on it.
Yeah, she just resigned from the Conservation Commission, right?
Oh, so
Yeah.
did she?
But I think she's,
But the appeals would never meet, so.
yeah, I think she was safe for that. I can look, I can,
All right, well, the point is, we're still short, we're short a permanent member, and we're short 2 alternates on both the planning board and the appeals board. And maybe 2 on the appeals, but I think you're right. Okay, all those in favor? Budget committee,
3 years?
Yes.
So I move we appoint Linda
Maltese.
Maltese, and Camille Minicus to the Budget Committee for 3-year terms to the first select board meeting following the town meeting in 2025.
I second that.
Okay, discussion? I have a question again. So we had 3 people up this year, correct?
Yes, but Moira decided not to
Right.
rerun, so.
So we
an
still have a
opening.
vacancy on the budget committee.
Yep.
And Moore is the longtime chair.
Yep.
So we need public, we need budget committee members, planning board members, appeals board members. Appeals was the best one to get on. They've only met once in 3 years. We need help, people. Okay, all those in favor?
And the Conservation Commission, I'm assuming that's 3 years as well.
Yep.
And we've got a pattern on here. I move we appoint Kathy Bedham and Linda Garrett to the.
Catherine's last name is changed.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Can we get a
Oh,
Hi,
motion?
Catherine.
Get a motion in a second and then we'll deal with that.
For a 3-year term to 2025 first select board meeting following town meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, discussion? Catherine's name is changed. So,
What is her name?
Yeah.
Catherine's right there. Can you spell it?
You didn't hear her? Is she muted?
You muted?
Lerme, Lerm.
Lerme, okay.
Lerm.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank
Mais
you,
de
Catherine.
rien.
Merci.
Okay, further discussion. So this committee has a full complement, correct?
Yes.
Uh,
No.
No?
Eileen left.
Oh, so we have a vacancy. So we also have a vacancy on this committee. Wasn't there some discussion about,
But was either Sally or Henry? was
well, I know,
interested?
that's just what I was gonna say. Wasn't there some discussion about moving one of the alternate or associate members up? But you haven't heard,
But nobody said. I don't
nobody
do it.
applied or,
No.
okay. Well,
Sally has declined. She wants to stay an associate member, but it's too much, it's too heavy a lift for her.
okay,
And the other associate member right now is Gus, Theo's husband.
Yeah.
Who's out with the Sharks at the moment. So when he's literally.
okay.
So when he's
So-
back, we could ask
Him if you want
whether.
to. Okay. So, I'm just trying to keep track of the vacancies, because I think after, what I'd like to do is, when we've done all this, is make a list of everything and put it on the website and send it out on the email list again, even though I know it doesn't do
It's
anything, but
fair, Dylan.
you gotta keep trying.
Yep.
Okay, so we are down one here. Okay, so, further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Election clerks,
Are these 1 year?
Yes.
So I move that we appoint Sandra Manahan, Penny Alley, Michelle Ames, Heather Baines, Phil Barrow, Crystal Birch, Tom Gray, Beverly St. Clair, Claudia Scalzi, to the election clerks for 1 year, first town meeting, or the first select board meeting following the town meeting in 2023.
I second that.
discussion? I have a question. I assume an election clerk does not have to be a resident.
No, but they have to live in Knox County. That's why Anna couldn't be one.
Okay,
She was very disappointed because
okay,
she loved that stuff and that's what she wanted to be like.
okay. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we also have, so vacancy, Terry did list the demo to be facility operator. You missed the road commissioner.
You're doing a great job, John.
Budget committee member, conservation committee, appeals board, which is, again, either 1 or 2 full-time members and 2 alternates, planning board, which is 1 full-time member and 2 alternates. We also now have a health officer, and it is now stipend in the new budget, and an assistant EMA director. And I would suggest, actually, I had, Betty had expressed some interest in the health officer, and I also had a conversation with a medical doctor who was in town who may have some interest. So I would suggest that we put it out on the website, the listserv, and ask people to formally submit, and the same thing with the assistant EMA director.
I agree.
So I don't think we need a motion necessarily to do that, but is there anything else that we need to do at this time? Any other vacancies or? Okay. Are we ready to move on, Terry? We always see if we get.
Oh, I'm never gonna catch up with all that typing info sometime
Well,
tomorrow.
a lot of it,
Yeah.
a lot of it's copy and paste.
Yes, it is.
But when these minutes come out, draft minutes, let's pay close attention to the dates and stuff, because we tend to sometimes get them messed up.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on appointments at this point in time?
I think that covered a lot.
Okay,
John,
yes.
what about, like solid waste
Oh,
representative?
yes.
That is.
True. That's our,
Shellfish.
yes, and shellfish, yes, absolutely. I knew there was something.
And on the solid waste one, I'd like to table that one until the next meeting. And the reason is because I talked to Walter. And he and I are gonna have a better discussion on Wednesday.
Okay, so does he? I believe he stays in that position until his successor is
Correct.
sworn,
Correct.
even though he's no longer a selectman.
Right. And we can still appoint him even if he's not a select board.
We can. I thought we had to have one select board.
No, it's recommended that you have a select board and a non-select board member, but you can have.
Because we just reappointed Skip, I think, a year ago. He's obviously not a select board, yet, so.
Yeah, but you can have a non-select board person fill the select board. Matter of fact, Thomason's been doing
Okay,
it. And it's, as Walter will say, that's probably not a good habit, but in this case, it might be appropriate. At
Well, I
least
know
for a
he-
short amount of time.
well, because he's particularly involved with their finances and stuff like that, yeah.
And
Okay,
the other
so
thing, is
why
I
don't
didn't
you-
know if Sue was interested in any particular
Yeah.
extracurricular.
The select board is typically has a seat on the transfer station. The solid, the Georgia River Shellfish Committee, Town. What else? Is there anything else?
I thought there was a third one.
Well, it might be if we create this new corporation,
Oh, yeah.
which is on the agenda tonight, but.
The ordinance review committee?
We have not had, well, until I became a select board member, we didn't have.
Well, we have-
It's a good idea.
But we have two vacancies there, though. There's another, right?
Right.
So there's another vacancy.
Yeah. Matter of fact, we're down to 2 members.
Oh, two?
Yeah.
So we have three.
Yeah.
Who else was on?
Well, no, I take it back, John still. Yeah, John. and-
Snow,
Yeah.
Dave, and you're, yeah, and you're the chair. And I didn't see you on the meeting policy.
Yeah.
Sorry.
so-
Ah,
John,
yes,
the Library Community Center Committee is down one and just has resigned.
okay, that's right there. So there's another one, Terry. Nobody applied. We put out sheets at the town meeting and nobody signed one sheet, correct?
Correct.
I forgot, Linda Meltate said she should sign the library community center facility. Page.
Not in town meeting.
I'll talk to her, yeah.
She was in here
They were all
today.
blank.
She was in here today too, right?
Who was? I didn't get the name.
Linda. Oh, budget committee.
Yeah,
Oh, yep.
yeah, she was in here today and didn't say anything about it. So people, if they're interested, they. Okay. All right, so we have a host of vacancies and a potential, maybe a couple of candidates for someone. So, So is anyone interested in serving on the Georges River Shellfish Committee?
I am not.
You are not. Might you be?
What does that entail?
It's once a month. They're very brief. Right now, they're meeting in St. George. The next meeting is Thursday night at 6. When you have, and which you would have to scoop right down after the meeting.
I thought we had a meeting on Thursday.
Huh?
Yeah, I can do it.
Okay. Is there a motion? Quickly.
And
They're very brief.
you need an alternate to that too.
We have an alternate.
You
Huh? No,
can.
Kevin was on. So, I talked to Danny about it. So, Danny Staples, who's the chair. She is not.
Now what about Shellfish Committee member?
She's on that as well. I think she might, I don't know that. I don't know if she's on that or not. I don't know that, but according to Danny, last month, as of last month, she had not resigned as the alternate.
But I would be disappointed if it's me also.
I don't know what the term is on that. I guess we need to check that.
So we're not fishing hooks with.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. I'm ready. Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Tara Elwell is the St. George, what is she?
Office manager.
Office manager. I'll forward you the agenda for Thursday,
Okay.
and I'll let Danny know that you've been appointed. Danny Staples, you know Danny?
Yeah.
Bill Hahn's on it from Thomason. I don't know if you know Bill or not, but it's a good group, and they always go out to eat after.
Can we go back to the solid waste? Did you table that?
Yeah.
And did you vote?
Well,
We didn't vote.
but it wasn't on the agenda either,
Yeah,
so.
Okay.
So let's put it on your next agenda,
Okay,
and that's one less motion. We don't have to table it.
okay.
And I guess we need to find out about Kearney's status on as the alternate. Maybe Danny will talk to her. I don't know her all that well, so.
And what's the one that you just appointed Sue to, the Georgia
River
River Shellfish
Shelter Management Board.
Management Board?
Okay, any more appointments, Patty? Time to keep track of them. Okay, Historical Society lease is next, right?
That should just be a motion to act.
I think you're right. I did have a question, Jeff, which doesn't change the lease at all, but I just wanted to make sure I understood completely. So under the proposed lease, amended lease, the town is still responsible for the maintenance of the grounds and the outside exterior and the mechanical systems of the so-called Little Red Schoolhouse, the red building.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
So, for example, the shingling, if we were to reshingle it, is still the town's responsibility. And trimming the bushes is the town's responsibility, mowing the grass, snow plowing, the heating system.
Which is.
I can,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
we have a Renai in there, in the library, the library box, that they're going to use.
So we would be responsible under the terms of this lease to replace that if it,
I guess so, but they have a kitchen unit that the Historical Society put in that needs to be replaced, that they're going to come and ask for some of Randall's money to replace. Now, when they did all the landscaping there, they agreed to take responsibility for turning.
But they haven't. But they haven't done it. so we're responsible, even though they sort of said they would be, under this lease.
According to you.
Yeah.
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 But they have a chart on the wall, who did what, and, so it's kind of a touchy subject to go whacking that.
Well, we gotta get them off the bills,
Yeah, I agree,
so.
but they should pay for They should pay for it.
But under the terms of the lease, we're responsible, and that's kind of where I'm coming from here. I just want to make sure we're all clear on who's responsible for what. Now, that doesn't mean we're responsible, I would assume, for shoveling the steps. I don't know who's gonna do that to the Little Red Schoolhouse, not to their door. That doesn't mean that someone who goes down and shovels for the historical society couldn't do the steps.
Right.
But we're responsible when push comes to shove under this lease, as I read it.
But now they don't meet in the winter. Are you going to require that they keep those clear? It hasn't been.
Well, maybe that was a
Yeah,
bad
that's
example, but
But I mean,
I guess my point is, there's nothing that, in my mind, that prevents them from trimming the bushes. It's just if they don't, we're responsible for it. I guess that's what I'm getting to. They certainly can, they could go out and mow the grass if they wanted to, but they're not responsible for mowing the grass.
I went to their last meeting.
Yeah.
And it sounded like they were looking into getting someone to trim the bushes, because I don't know if it was the Plants Unlimited that did the plantings.
Probably.
And that
no,
was,
they were done years ago.
Were they years
But
ago?
buses and members.
Right. So I think they were gonna
talk.
talk to him about how to do it, and
Okay,
Yeah.
because I was about ready to go down with my hedge trimmer. Get them off the
Yeah.
building. Since we're responsible for the outside, I
Right.
wouldn't have done that when I'm talking about. Okay, so I guess we're all clear then on, I think.
Yes. And to be frank, the only area that was not crystal clear when we were talking about it is the shoveling in the winter time.
Because someone's
All
got,
the rest of it was pretty clear. It was who's doing what.
someone's got to shovel a path to that propane tank.
Yeah.
And I know when I sat in Terry's chair on engine braces a couple of times, and it's a long shovel. Maritime called, so we can't get in the tank, and I went down and shoveled. And we had a big snowstorm, so
who has done it in the past?
I'm done.
You did
And
it.
Arthur's done it, I think. But we're kind of out of there now, but yet technically, I guess we're responsible still to shovel that path.
Yeah, I think technically.
Hopefully, they'll have someone that'll volunteer and take care of that, because they're gonna be on the site a lot more than anyone here is, you know. And Penny's not gonna be there.
Are they there in the one?
No, typically they're not.
Yeah, but
No,
the
but
water,
we do keep the bathroom, well, we kept both rooms
yeah,
at 50 degrees.
yeah. Maybe we should shut the water off in the winter, if they're not gonna be there at all.
Isn't that the emergency
It is.
building, and
It
if
is.
something happens, so don't we need to keep it?
Well,
open?
it's a warming shelter,
Right,
yeah,
So do we need to keep it open?
Need to keep it heated.
I don't know.
No need to keep it open, but you have to have access.
Just in case, yeah.
Yeah. And,
And I think you would leave water on. I mean,
well, she could just turn it, I mean, when I go away for a weekend, I shut my water off and then just turn it back on. But it wouldn't keep it from freezing up, so. So I think there's some issues there, we need to sort out some details. Okay. Did we have a motion on the floor?
Yeah, I move that we execute in accordance with the town meeting.
Second,
I'll second
those in favor? I'm gonna abstain, just the reason I voted against it. Many years ago, I think 99 years is an awful time.
you gotta vote no.
No, I'll just abstain. Okay. Discussion regarding fire truck purchase. Brian, do you want to come up here and pull the chair, and David too, maybe? Or that's up to you guys, but be a little easier if you weren't back in the dark. Huh? Pull up a corner of the table, or right there, is fine. So Brian sent us a bunch of material. You want to give us kind of a synopsis of where we're at and
Where we're at right now is prices of fire trucks are skyrocketing. We're looking at, from when we started this whole process, to close to a $65,000 to $75,000 increase, and they're gonna keep going. So we're in a pickle. I'm trying to save us as much money as possible to the best of our abilities, and right now it's, the longer we sit and wait, the worse situation we're gonna be in. then we might, worst case scenario, we'll end up with one truck, maybe. So I'm kind of looking, you guys have the final say on this, not me. We kind of need to move forward. We need to get going. And pick a company and order the trucks and get them coming. To save as much money as we possibly can. So,
Questions?
Yeah, I think it's clear we need to pull the trigger on it. Because it is not going to get better.
no.
Did E1 had said they needed to hear back from you by the 8th or something like that?
It
You
got-
were gonna see if you could extend it to the 13th.
It got extended to the 13th,
Yeah, okay.
but, you know, so, but I can't do anything with them until I get from you, and then I have to go back to the truck committee, which we're talking with them again tomorrow night. And this whole source wall thing, information that I sent you, it's completely new. Jeff, you probably all know, back in the, you put it out to bid, it takes 30 to 45 days before you hear back, and then the committee has to go through it, and then it's a long process. This one is just within, I think I was told, within a week or less, we get all our information back and we can make a decision and go. It's no more sitting and takes the headache off me, you guys, and the aspects of, are we getting really the best price? And that's what this company is made for. So it's a faster process. And with us not being full-time or me sitting here 7 days a week, having time to get it going is just gonna.
Yeah, I am familiar with these type
Good,
of companies.
it's been a struggle for me to
But
comprehend it.
most of them, there's a fee associated.
I was gonna say, there must be.
There is
cost.
no, through Greenwood, which is E1, they are paying for it. Even if they don't get the bid, they're paying for it. Or if they have not the ones we choose, they pay for it. I already said it. I have it in writing.
I was gonna say, you have
It's
it
in
right.
writing. We have a good representation with E1, for your knowledge, Sue. The last truck we bought in 2015 was through E1. They have lease purchasing, they have, when we dealt with them, it was so easy. They did a lot of the background legwork for us and helped us with the bid and all that stuff. Now this Sourcewell kind of moves in and takes over that. It's used across the country by all kind of small towns to big cities, from pencils to fire trucks, whatever you want to talk about. And they have, from what I've gathered, and the deputy chief can chime in if he wants to, but looking at how they have for offering for financing and prepay or lease purchasing, looking at them compared to the other 5 or 6 companies we've talked with, they have the best package deal. And just trying to, and we've worked with them. They've taken on all of our equipment. They've dealt with every single truck we have, and the other 3 trucks are not from E1. They'll fix them. They'll do everything. They come to us. I could call them at 1 o'clock in the morning, at 7 o'clock the next day, I'm gonna have somebody here. We're kind of on there, for some reason, on the top of their list. But
Well, at one point, I was under the impression you just wanted to sole source from them because you're so thrilled with their record of demonstrated effectiveness. How's that?
These are big words, I know. So it just,
Have you dropped that idea, or would you still really like to do that, but you feel that we need to go through some sort of competitive process?
I think we should still do the competitive process. The committee isn't, and David can chime in if he wants, he's the head of the committee, but we both kind of have the final say before coming to you guys. The committee's kind of all over the place on what they want to do. They're trying to get the best bang for their buck type deal. It's understandable, but it gets a little frustrating when you have 8 different opinions trying to have a meeting. So, but, and I mean, and a lot of them, and no offense to them, because this Sourcewell thing is new to us as well, but we're so used to doing it the old way. Oh, give me the drawings, then we'll discuss it and all this. Well, drawings, just to get a drawing of a fire truck now is almost 2 months. And I just got word tonight before I came from E1, because we're trying to get a drawing out of them. And they just took a order of 25 brand new trucks. So our request for a drawing has fallen to the bottom of the list right now because we haven't ordered a truck. So I'm not gonna see a drawing out of them unless we order from them for quite a while. I'm not in favor, and I will be expressing this tomorrow night to the committee. I don't want to sit around anymore. We need to get going. We've got one truck done. Now we're working on the next one.
Which one?
Tank truck, which is the more important one of the two.
When you say you have it done, what is that?
As in, we have got our, this is what we want, this is what we're looking at, this is what we need on it and stuff like that.
You've got all the specs.
The specs aspects of that truck is 99.9% done.
So then why do we need to go through this source company if we've got it spec?
Because the source company, if I understand how this works, actually puts it to the top 3 or 4 companies out there that can build the truck and will hold the price.
Okay.
Did I get that right?
Yeah,
It's
they
been all
provide a
weekend.
competitive bidding, basically.
Okay, I
And we're also trying, I mean, I know Dave and I are encouraging the committee that we need to buy both trucks from the same company because that's more savings. We can save, I'm not gonna give a number because I'm not gonna get held to it, but we could, by ordering 2 trucks from the same company, we get a discount. By doing the purchase lease agreement like through E1, we can get a discount. We can start retracting from that 850 as best we can going in the opposite direction. Which is what I'd like to do.
we don't need to make a decision tonight about the financing, correct?
No, you do not need to do that.
Because we actually do not have town meeting approval for the financing. I mean, we have finance,
We have
spend
approval
the
to,
money,
yeah, to order
Right.
and to,
and we had a potential financing.
right, because we have several options in there, so, so we don't really have approval. to-
So if we're gonna bond, probably much more than 250,000, we're gonna have to go back to town meeting, and hopefully they're gonna remember that they voted on it.
Right. But my suspicion has always been that it will be next year's, that we end
Oh, yeah.
up putting that in
I believe so.
the regular town meeting. We're not gonna have to have a special town meeting between now and then.
Right.
And
Now, in a lease purchase, you typically don't need town meeting approval because the truck serves as a security, not ad valorem taxes, and that's kind of the key difference.
And that's what we did last time with the last truck, and we did it. I don't even know how long we did it, but
Okay, so with Sourcewell, are they gonna provide you, this is the truck, or are they gonna say, here's the top 2 or the top 3? Are they gonna give
2
you?
or 3,
Okay, so you will still have an option.
yes.
Okay, so they're not gonna take the whole
After
choice.
5 phone calls asking that same question this weekend,
Okay,
to make sure I had it clear in my head, that was the answer I got, that they're gonna come back with, these are your top 4 competitors for what you need, and here's the pricing for them, and go from there.
So what are you specifically looking from us tonight?
To go ahead and move forward on picking someone and ordering, getting the final details to sign the truck.
Picking,
Selecting a company to build us 2 fire trucks.
and you also looking for us to bless you using Sourcewell to facilitate that?
Sourcewell was just to give you guys the information, so you also knew what I was looking at for a company to eliminate the bidding process.
Okay, I'm still not clear then
Source,
exactly.
I wanna go through Sourcewell because it's a faster turnaround time versus going out to bid the old fashioned way.
Okay, so that's one thing.
Yeah.
So,
I am in favor of it, but I need to ask one more question. If we said you can sole source and pick E1 right now today.
And we don't even need to talk to Sourcewell at all, and I can just.
well, that's what I was trying to get at
And-
earlier,
well,
but
we-
you said,
And will that save us money? I think it will.
Yeah, I think it's gonna save us money no matter, either way. I mean, the only reason why I've talked about the Sourcewell, because as some of us know that sometimes I don't follow the policy of the town, and there's a policy in the town about the RFPs. And I just wanted to bring it to your attention that, we're going over that policy number, way over it, and
right, but the policy is just guidance that
Okay.
the select board enacted. And there are certainly circumstances where sole sourcing, they sole sourced the ambulance a few years back.
right,
Um,
that was my other reason why I didn't want to have to go out to bid, because we didn't do it in the past on that purchase. I'd like
And
to-
again, I think E1, I agree with you, they've been great to us. And so that's why I was trying to get at that, but then you said the truck committee wasn't necessarily of a like mind.
They're looking at the dollar signs and then, and the other thing that's come out with it's trying to get truck companies to communicate, and with everything going on, they're all short-staffed. The real bids it's just been that kind of a frustrating headache.
Well, I get it.
And that's where I can say for the committee, that's where their frustration is.
Yeah.
Some of them think that if I send it out on Tuesday night, that Wednesday morning, I'm gonna have an answer to draft. It doesn't work
No,
that way.
no.
And with us me not being full-time, I can't spend.
So of the total amount that was approved at town meeting to spend up to, have you got that split in your mind between the two vehicles?
Yeah, okay, I'm not gonna hold it to me, but roughly one will be 250 and the other one will be 600, which was the original plan of how we got to that number. My hopes is to come under as much as we can without sacrificing safety on either truck.
No, I'll add one more twist to it. Okay. So right now we're looking at two options. One is we go to Sourcewell and they bid it out.
Yep.
The other, we go direct with E1 and tell them build us a truck. What's the timeline? Is the timeline on one going to be too expeditious? Because I don't want the truck arriving in 5 months. I want the truck in
Truck won't be
13
here,
months.
to take perspective, the truck roughly will be here in 530 days.
Okay, so it's over a year.
One truck might come sooner because it's smaller of the two, but the bigger of the amount is gonna take roughly 530 days.
Okay.
So I have another question. And Sue, jump in. I mean, you have a sort of give and take here.
Can you specify a date to get them so that we don't get anything before we want it?
Wait, there is, well, for example, there is a utility out there. They're like, well, we can get this to you by the end of the month. I said, no, because it doesn't match what we're looking for. So that backs that up a little bit. The tank truck is gonna start from scratch. So we're not gonna see that.
And that's the.
But I think the direct answer to her question is, you probably could say, we will
I could
not
hold
take
off.
delivery before this day.
Correct.
And they're probably gonna say, great.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're at the mercy of them. And then the order of how trucks come in. So like I just said, there's 25 trucks right now ahead of us. What styles and this and that, it all depends, but we get put into the pecking order of order numbers, and we could be order 300 and they're on order 100.
So and would you like E1 to build both trucks? And first of all, can they do it? Can they build
Yes.
the tanker as well as the utility?
Every truck company we've talked to can do both.
Okay. And would you like E1 to do both?
Me personally, yes.
Which
As the
means-
fire chief, yes, I would.
Which means that the truck committee doesn't necessarily agree with that.
We haven't really got, am I out of line yet on this, but we're not, we haven't had that conversation yet. It just gets, because some of them are stuck on how the old way of doing truck stuff are, and everyone's looking at the dollar amounts. And we're just trying to get things lined up. Some of them want to go with a different company, and I have stressed to them as in my position, I don't want to deal with another company, me personally as the fire chief, because of my schedule and everything else. Dealing with another company means I gotta make additional phone calls to this company versus I can send a text message or an email to E1 and say, we need to get the trucks in for yearly maintenance. Okay, we'll be there Tuesday at 6 a.m. Done. And they come and take them and this and that. We have a perfect setup through them. And E1 builds a perfectly, in my opinion, excellent fire truck.
Well, and we bought several.
And we bought from them, and they have fixed what we have for the other two, even the one that's on its last leg.
So just to be clear on my personal philosophy on bidding out, there are about 3 reasons to bid out, to get competitive bids.
Right.
One is because you have a lot of people close to you, around you, who can do that. So you want to make sure you're giving it up amongst, like all of the landscapers that are around here. We don't want to give favoritism to one landscaper because we have several of them that are around here. That's not the case here. These trucks are from away. it wouldn't make any difference to us if it was somebody from this company or that. The other is sometimes when you bid out, you get a more competitive price.
Correct.
They know that they're gonna have to sharpen their pencils and they're gonna have to get down and I don't see that as what's gonna happen here. Personally, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of competitive pricing going on in the trucking business. And then the final one is because you're dissatisfied with who you've got, so you want to find somebody else that might.
Right.
So we're not dissatisfied. I don't think we're going to get a competitive edge on pricing. And it's not somebody local that we're trying to keep from being shown favor.
And when we did the bid, the old school bid way, it's what I'm now classifying it, in 2014 or 15, when we got that truck, I put that out to 10 companies to apply.
Right, yeah.
And they weren't even close.
Yeah.
Where this source well takes that away and puts it closer together.
So
So,
that's the other thing, it's hard to get people to even bid.
yeah. Apparently.
But my concern on the bidding is that you also, I mean, something as complicated as a fire truck. You know, if one company is 20% below another company, my inclination would be to throw the lower one out. Right. Because I think there's something wrong.
Well, even just for going on,
Yeah, I think that, you know,
there's little, we brought it up I brought it up at the last meeting last week to them, that there's one company that some of them are like, oh, we need to go with these guys, these guys. I'm like, you need to read the spec from the first letter all the way to the end. And what do you mean? We have, one of them so far has said, well, I'm gonna pay them for 2 weeks to stay in a hotel and to train them and feed that person. I'm like, E1 doesn't charge us anything, let alone the person that's coming to train us works for Rockland Fire. You know, so I mean, it's local or it's one of the mechanics. Those are the things that the committee needs to pay attention to, and we have, I've encouraged them that you gotta read it. Just because this truck's they're gonna sell it to us for $450,000 and this one's gonna sell it to 500, doesn't mean we go to this one, because there's probably a catch in there. So, I mean, we're looking for a 3,000 gallon tank full of water. The one, example A, they're giving us a 3,000 gallon tank, it only holds 2,800 gallons of water. Over here, it's giving us a 3,000 gallon tank, and it's gonna hold maybe 2,900 or 3,000 gallons of water, just however we configure things. But it's not written out in their spec unless you find it. So, but I'm not against going with Sourcewell, because I'm for the competitive. If someone can do something better than E1 or someone, then we have to look at that option, but.
Now, the other side of doing the source well is that you have somebody else who's comparing specs.
Yep.
They're gonna, their job is to give you apples to apples. So that you should not have to go through fine tuning every single spec. And wrestling with that. But having said that, I'm willing to go either way personally. I think this is a perfect case for sole sourcing, because especially since you already have an apparatus that they're already supporting.
Right.
So it just makes sense that you have the same company do it. So I could go sole source on this, or if you prefer to use the advantage of this, the other company, then to have them bid it out for you. I'm not averse to doing that. But I think we'll save money if we do sole source personally.
I think we're gonna save money the sooner we can sign the dotted line.
Well, I think the sole source is gonna be the quickest way to do that. I do say, one thing you said earlier bothered me, I do think we need to come out of this with 2 trucks.
I do too. That's
You
my
said
whole,
something, you said
worst
something.
case, well, worst case scenario, if we sit around and wait and don't order till say October, we might have lost one of the trucks.
Yeah, but I think we have to do
Yeah.
that, or almost have to do that.
We don't, we're gonna cause another headache, and I'd like to not have to.
Yeah,
have
I
these
mean,
discussions.
the 850,000 was clearly at town meeting for 2 trucks.
Yes.
And I think if that's not gonna be the case, because you sort of alluded to that, then we need to revisit this whole thing. But I am more than willing to sole source with E1. I think that's the most streamlined way to do it. And I think, again, they have a record of demonstrated effectiveness, and And, you know, people say government should act more like businesses. Well, I agree. I think if you're in business and you've got a great supplier, you stick with that supplier. You don't go looking around for other people, so.
You heard my speech.
Huh? No, I didn't.
I gave a speech last night. I gave a speech on that exact same
Oh.
topic.
So I'm willing to do that too.
Yeah,
Thoughts, questions, or I know this is kind of, we've been talking about this a lot for the past several
Yeah.
months, so.
Well, it seems to make sense, I mean, the company that you work with and you know you're gonna get the service from. That makes a big difference too.
So would that satisfy you if there was a motion, something to the effect that we authorize you to order 2 trucks? Not to exceed whatever the dollar amount was, and sole source through E1? Is that enough?
You okay with that? Or any questions?
We just authorize you to do it. Now, if you come back and say you don't want to do that, you're gonna lose 2 weeks.
I'll make it, that we authorize you to order a truck, either sole source through E1 or using Sourcewell. Either one of
Give
those.
us either option.
Right,
We have
yeah.
a meeting tomorrow night, if we could decide on that tomorrow night, and be able to do whatever option we come out of the meeting with, that'd be best.
In accordance with the vote from the town meeting.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So we're talking 2 trucks, no more than
850.
All right, you want to put that,
I think I just.
well, you got it?
What I got was,
Let's make sure we have it.
North Grace moved a motion to authorize the chief to order 2 trucks not to exceed 850,000, either to sole source through E1 or to use Sourcewell.
Add 850 in accordance with town meeting.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, if this motion carries, oh, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. Discussion? So as far as I'm concerned, if this motion carries, you don't need to come back here. Is that your intent?
I would like
Not
feedback.
until, yes,
Oh,
you
yeah,
definitely
yeah,
get feedback,
yeah.
but when it gets to the financing and signing.
Right.
At that point, then I'm fine with
A
it.
year.
Yeah.
A year.
Well, I have to sign the order to order the truck.
Yeah,
The rest
no,
of
we
it,
understand it. We understand.
I will definitely keep you updated what's going on.
Yeah, I'm just curious as to which way to go.
I will let you know.
Yeah.
And what about like prepaying and stuff for discounts? I know we have money in the.
That's a
reserve.
possibility, but you guys would need to let us know,
Oh, yeah.
you know, what
And that might- that's gonna
what
come
can we
before you.
say? I guess it was me, if this motion carries, the first thing I do is talk to E1 and say, look, I sole source for you guys, what can you give me for a deal?
Yeah.
And if I prepay, what more can you give me for a deal? But that's your business.
Yep.
But,
Well, pretty much the prepay could be what we have in reserves, you know, depending on what we do, make a deal with the company.
I can't see any reason why it wouldn't be, can you? Anyway, Terry?
I'm sorry, I was
You want to TV over there? No. I can't see any reason why they couldn't prepay. We need some assurances, obviously.
Oh, using their reserve fund?
But yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
I know there will be discounts depending on how
Yeah.
much we prepay.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I don't think you can go and make a prepay without coming back here. and-
Right.
Yeah, because there's gotta be some assurances.
No, exactly.
We need to make sure our money is, someone doesn't go off to Albania with it or something.
Just an example, if we did 100% prepay, we could save 25 grand. If we did 75%, it's 19,000. If we did a 50%, it's 12,000. Subject to change once we get the final numbers in place and stuff like that. And lease purchase, from what I'm getting out of E1, lease purchase is where we're gonna probably save a good chunk of change versus wherever else you guys go.
Well, the bond, and if it's over a certain amount, then you're gonna get a bond council opinion, and that's 4 or 5 grand, and, or 3 grand, or whatever they want these days, so, I mean. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor?
Okay, thank you. Anything else for me for tonight?
Yes.
Usually it's not.
It's a question, it's under AARP funds, which I don't want to move to right now, but we do have that on the
I'll stick
agenda.
around.
No, we can do it right now.
Okay.
We when we discussed AARP funds a couple of meetings ago, we didn't have enough money at that time to do the repeater.
Correct.
We do now because our second tranche has come in. But Terry tells me you did it already.
I did.
Why did you do that?
I saved us $15,000.
How'd you do that?
I ordered it. That was the only way. The longer I waited, the more the price kept going up.
So Terry, do you think there's any way we can have the auditor adjust that to our ARP funds and just, you know, it sounds like we got some wires crossed here a little bit, or at least we can.
I had funds left over in the budget, and talking with RCM, who's the radio company, I said, what's the cost of it now? What is the cost of it, say, August? He goes, you're gonna save roughly $15,000 if you order it now. Okay, I ordered it. It's not in yet, but
No,
I
I know,
ordered
I
it
know,
to
but
save.
we paid for it.
We paid for it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Oh, yeah,
Terry,
we paid for it.
and I said, why did we pay for it with this, with town funds when we were gonna do it out of the AARP funds? Because we had already voted on that, or maybe, I don't know, if we had voted on it, but we had voted
No,
on
we
it.
did.
I think we did
Discuss
discuss
it
it
again, but
We did vote on it.
did we?
I don't
I
think you
can't remember.
voted, I don't think you voted on it. I think you put it off.
Well, let's look to put it on the next agenda. And because if there's, and talk to the auditor, and if there's any way we can adjust, even though it's 15,000 less, that's the ARP funds, I just assume do that, but we can talk about that at the next meeting. And then what did Brian didn't spend in his budget, we'll just close the surplus. No, you don't get it.
I'm pretty sure I spent it all, but that's just like.
No, but if we transfer it to the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
ARP
that's
funds.
fine. I'm already into the next budget, I'm not.
Yeah, okay. That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Unless you guys have something. Okay, consideration creation of library and community center auxiliary nonprofit corporation. So that item passed, as we know, at town meeting. I guess the question I have is, do we want to move ahead and authorize the incorporation of it tonight before we have talked about possible nominees for the board of directors? Or do we want, I'm not sure which is the chicken and the egg here. I know we have to incorporate it first, obviously, before you can appoint, before the incorporator can appoint the board of directors based on the nomination process that's outlined. But, so I'm not sure how we want to approach that. And I know Sandy's here as well, so thoughts or?
Well, I think we turn it over to the incorporator.
Yeah.
And then the incorporator will request of us names. It's how because once she starts the process, the board actually is the one that's going to finalize the incorporation.
Right. And the bylaws, draft bylaws clearly say that we, you know, that the nominations will be made after it's incorporated. But I was just talking as a practical matter, so we want to, before we go ahead and, it's not much money, but spend a few bucks to incorporate this, do we want to see if we got people that are willing to serve? Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking so much about legal matter, so.
I think it's a two-edge. I think we go back to personally and say, start the process, and at the same time, we solicit for people.
And I noticed on your agenda for Thursday night, you're having a discussion.
Thursday night, yeah, we're having a discussion about board of directors nominations, yeah. I don't think it matters which way you do those first two things, but you can't do anything. You have to have a first meeting with the board of directors to pass the bylaws. So, you know, we've got to get busy on the board of directors piece, but I don't think it hurts anything to you know, start the incorporation process. Because regardless, it's going to take a few months to apply for tax exempt status, you know, 501c3. This is just nonprofit incorporation.
Right, but that comes later.
That comes later, but
Yeah.
it takes some time. We've got to get all these other ducks in order.
So as you guys are going to be meeting and you're going to talk about who you think, what type of person should be in each
Yeah,
chair?
I think we talked a little bit about it last meeting, what kinds of skills we might be looking for and how to go about doing it, but I think it's going to, I think our feeling is we want to do it in cooperation
That's exactly what I was hoping.
with all of us, so that we, you're gonna know people, I'm gonna be out there looking for people and talking to people. I think there will be a very heavy focus on fundraising. I mean, that's what the board, we need people with financial skills and treasurer, that, and someone, excuse me, who's going to set up the databases for donations. And, so I can sort of imagine the kind of people, but I don't know if they are.
So what I was kind of hoping is that during your process, that you make some recommendations to us
Yeah.
on even our.
Yeah, I would like it to be a joint process as much as
That's
possible.
what I'm hoping.
Plus, the librarian has a nomination as well. Well, yeah, I would, obviously, I think that the people that are sitting on this are people that have fundraising, grant writing ability, whatever, because I mean, that's the purpose of this, is to fundraise. It's really nothing else. So why don't I, if there's no objection, why don't I talk to Kristen a little bit? I'll give her a call. She's our attorney. And chat with her a little bit and see what she says. But if you guys are ready to move ahead, if you want to authorize me as chair to authorize her to incorporate that based on a conversation, I'm willing to do that, or we can wait.
No, I would make that motion.
And to actually do it, if she thinks that's the.
When she.
Okay, all right. Is there a second to that?
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? Anybody else?
So you're gonna authorize her to go ahead.
No, they're gonna authorize me to talk to her, and if she says, no, let's wait, then we'll wait, but if she says,
That's
no,
fine.
let's move, yeah,
Right.
so. Further discussion, all those in favor? Sorry. Lose track.
Was it also a part that if she says to go ahead, that John's authorized?
Yes, that was
Okay.
my understanding, yes. Okay. Terry, don't let me forget to come back to these adjustments because it's been so long already. Okay, this next one should be easy. We simply need to execute or sign the ordinance regarding the storage of solid waste and junk. Is there a motion to execute it?
So moved.
And Terry, did you revise that? This is the
Yes,
second.
Second the
I
motion.
did.
You
It's the
revised it?
signed one, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, you the sign.
Okay, I just asked her to revise that sheet, to put a date that was agreed to town meeting and have her test that because it wasn't clear whether to me. So we can, further discussion, all those in favor? I'll pass it around, we'll sign it before we forget it.
We got a lot to sign.
Oh, we do, okay. Discussion regarding the results of the advisory 10 article. If there's no objection, I would ask that we put this off to the next meeting. We got a lot to go here. We got plenty of time. And I just didn't want to forget it, which is why I asked Terry to put it on the agenda. So if there was a motion to table it to the next meeting, I would. So table.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Except Penny Alley's resignation from the Library and Community Center Committee. So Penny, you decided you want to step away from this. You kind of alluded to that at the last meeting, but this is a formal resignation of your position. I personally wish that wasn't the case, but I understand there's a lot going on, and but I would hope that, when we get to the point that we're gonna get into serious design of our hopefully new building, that you would.
I would be happy to be an advisor to that committee in that situation, but I certainly can't be part of the fundraising
I understand.
that the committee is doing. I was under the impression the 501 was going to do the fundraising, but now the committee is going to focus on the fundraising also. And I would like my name off of that. I can't vote. I'm not included, you know, in the comments. I think I'd be better as an advisor sitting in the public when it comes to, but the main reason is things are growing by leaps and bounds right now. I'm so busy, I have 2 different things booked Thursday night that's going to prevent me from coming to this meeting. And it's looking like we're going to see exponential growth in the next year, year and a half, that eventually I will be able to not have to be part of every single, but I've taken personal responsibility to oversee that building and reuse of
Mhm.
until we really get our feet under us and figure out how this is working.
Okay. Any other thoughts or comments? Or
No, I completely understand.
is there a motion?
So
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. Just a practical question. Do you guys have the capacity to run the meetings on Zoom with Penny not there?
I just learned.
Okay.
I mean, I use Zoom at home all the
Because
time.
if we enact a
Now I
policy,
know the owl, so it's good.
if we enact a policy that's later,
Yeah.
or actually we already did it, requires you not. Okay.
I did forget to tell you about clicking on to YouTube, but we have a meeting before you
Oh, yeah,
get here,
okay,
so
so
we can do
Thursday
that.
afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. Discussion of a possible creation of a recreation committee. Terry, we had some people that have expressed interest, correct?
Yes,
No, Terry, I did sign that, I'm not sure the town meeting.
you signed, yeah, that was the only,
Okay, well, you said there were none.
Oh, yeah.
I did.
oh, I didn't know, it's right here. That was the only, but that wasn't really it's not a committee yet, so it
Right.
wasn't really one of the committees weren't signed, but yes, no, I have that. You first.
I still have some misgivings about creating another formal committee. We have this working group that's working on the tennis courts that includes Penny and Rich Norman and Ed Delant and Gail. And, you know, that seems to have worked out okay. It's working well. I mean, if we have another formal committee, they're gonna have to do agendas and minutes and postings, and it's gonna put more work on Terry. And really, I still struggle about where the line is between recreation and conservation commission. So things like walking trails and kayak launches. And I guess I don't quite understand. What we really need, I think, is just people that are willing to volunteer to help do things, physical things. I think. So I don't know. I guess I'm not convinced that we need to create another committee when we can't even fill the committee that we have. Granted, we do have several people here. So I'm not convinced that this is a route we need to go down, but, you know, but it's not a hill to die on for me either. But I just don't, you know. I guess too, I'm personally deeply involved with the state guy dealing with the tennis courts and what we're gonna try to do there, and is this committee gonna kind of take that all over? Which maybe would be fine with me, but I feel like I'm halfway through the middle of it. So I don't know. Just my thoughts. I don't know if you guys have any, but, and, you know, and if it was some sort of working group that wasn't, quote, technically a town committee, then we kind of avoid all that posting and stuff, but.
What does being a town committee afford them that being a working group wouldn't have?
Well, I mean, they would have a certain status that they were, you know, created by the Board of Selectmen, and they were appointed by the Board of, I shouldn't say board of selectmen, the select board. And beyond that, I'm not sure that it gains all that much, but did you say Penny had an end up?
Well, I mean, the cemetery committee is not a formal organized committee. Why
Well-
can't a recreation committee also be an ad hoc committee that we at least say, okay, now we're gonna talk about playground? I mean, the thing is, we're working on all this stuff, but we don't have a cohesive group to do that. I have people that will come and help. But, so,
Yeah, and I do see a difference. though. I mean, right now, we have the overseer of the cemetery. And so whatever people you can gather to help you do your job, you can do. We don't have a rec department. We don't have
we kind of do.
well, we have
And
a bunch
it's the
of,
library community center.
Well, yeah,
at this time. And that,
and also
Right.
John's group. And so what we have is disjointed recreational efforts going on throughout the town that I think could benefit from some kind of a unification. And I am not convinced that the committee is the right answer. But primarily because we don't have a belly button. We don't have a rec director like we have somebody for the cemetery, like we have somebody for the library. And now somebody for the community center. Right, you're now the library community center. Correct. So.
You bring up an interesting point. The town report says we have two committees. Well, actually, it's a board, the library board of directors, that was, to my knowledge, was never created by the town. And we've never appointed them. And it also says we have a cemetery committee that we've never appointed. I mean, we did years ago, but we haven't in years.
Right.
Um,
and that was.
and they don't do any agendas or any, maybe they don't meet, I don't know. Oh, but I guess I don't want to get one other, I want to be clear about what we're doing. I don't want to get another body out there that's actually listed in the town report and we're not sure what kind of animal it is. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Well, and the other part of me too has a feeling that our conservation committee, that this does fall underneath the conservation committee. I mean, it's, although I don't,
They could,
I don't think we
do.
do. Well, no, if you look at the state law.
Yeah, they could.
They could.
Yeah.
We could easily say, and all recreational activities in the town. It's one of the enumerated in the state law for the conservation committee involvement. I don't think we delineated that when we created it, but we could make them the belly button for the efforts out there behind the community center, which includes skate park, recreation activities down at the town landing.
I guess what I'd like to see is just kind of, we don't appoint anybody and we just have this list of people who are willing to work on recreation activities. And if it gels and works and people over time, then we create a committee rather than the other way around. That's kind of where I'm coming from. And we can keep a list and we can put them on a volunteer for insurance. And for example, I mean, Gail Milan is very interested in pickleball courts out here, but I know she has zero interest in the skateboard.
Maybe it should be the campus grounds over there committee or something that just handles the skate park and playground.
Well, I actually would be more interested personally in a committee, a formal committee appointed by the town that's sort of created by the select board and the town that sort of advise you as director of that facility, because, you know, you could be in there 5, 6, whatever, years, I mean, and maybe that would, I'd actually be more in favor of that, but again, I question whether we even need that. But.
Well, right now it's falling to me and you to take care of that stuff over there.
Yeah.
And you're doing most of the work on the skate park and I'm doing most of the work on the playground. with
Yeah.
a few volunteers.
Yeah.
So it'd just be nice if we had some, don't call it a committee, a group.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If we had a list of people who were willing to volunteer and we could dip into them when you were gonna do something at the playground, or we could dip into them when we're gonna maybe do some, oh, it rained.
But I
do
think we
something.
need to have a meeting. We need to meet.
You can meet, but that doesn't mean it has to be a formal town committee where you gotta post agendas and keep minutes and all that stuff.
Well, and again, I say the cemetery committee is not a formal committee, it's an ad hoc committee that meets when needed. Last did serious meetings with minutes and that when we adjusted the ordinance.
Yeah.
Several years ago. And I did contact the members who were on it about what's happening up there now, or I hope will be happening.
Yeah, the new road.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's listed in the town report as a town committee. But it really, I mean, it isn't at this point because the select would have appointed the members of that, but that's another story. I don't know,
Those members were appointed.
were they? Okay, but they haven't been reappointed in a long, long time, so the
It's a
term.
lifetime committee.
Yeah. Do we want to kick this around at another time again, or?
Yeah.
But I think those that have volunteered for, we need to make sure that
We got a
Penny has
list,
that, you've got it.
yeah, and also get them on our volunteer insurance of what they're gonna actually volunteer
I
something.
think most of them probably. do.
Probably already are, yeah, certainly, well, Penny wouldn't have to be, because she's an employee, but,
Several of them are under the library.
right, yeah. Okay. Well, let's think about it some more. Okay, execute engagement letter with Maine Municipal Audit Services. This is for our 18-month audit. Is there a, Sue, just so you know, we've had this auditor for now, what, 6, 7 years? 5 years?
Yeah, no, we should see what I said before, and we had her.
Yeah.
a few
She
years.
does an excellent job for us, and her prices are very reasonable compared to the previous auditor we had. So is there a motion to execute the agreement? Well, I think particularly this year with the 18-month, we should stick with her at least through this period, because it's a complicated transition year, so.
Yes, so
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Further discussion?
do we know how long it's gonna take? Have they given us less?
Should be here the 19th.
I'm just thinking about.
She's quick.
Yeah, just thinking about commitment. I would like to have that.
Oh, yeah, I would too. And we're gonna talk about that when we get the schedule. Because Terry's gonna be out on vacation a little bit, so we may not be able to do the commitment quite as early as we had hoped. Well, we could do the commitment, but the tax bills won't go out, so there's no sense in doing it. Okay, do people want to talk about this second tranche of the air? Oh, I'm sorry. Further discussion? All those in favor? I'm sorry. I'm just trying to move us along. Do people want to talk about this tonight?
I like to know it's here, but I'd like to address that later on.
Okay, and I would like an explanation. I think you and Terry both attended. I understand now that the limitations that were on this first tranche are not as strict as they were on the second,
And I think it actually applies to the first tranche as well.
but that's gone.
Right.
So.
Yeah, right. Yes, yeah, that's the way I understood it.
That's the way I understand.
Yeah. Because I think there's some things that maybe, I mean, we're facing some shortfalls in certain areas or price, big price increases, which are, I think you could argue are somewhat pandemic related. And perhaps some of these funds could cover some of that, but.
We did not use it for construction in the first one, but I think we can.
I think we can, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think there's pretty much a big leeway there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's particularly what I was thinking. I mean, I'm gonna ask you to have a little discussion about that, but I mean, the paving is just, crazy. I mean, it's just, so, okay. So we'll put that off. So you put that on the next agenda. why don't we have a motion to table it, so.
So
And actually, why don't we go back and table the recreation too, just so it's in the record. I'm sorry.
yeah, I move we table both.
So the owl, is that in the first?
Yeah, that's already been approved and
Okay.
Terry's trying to order it, but the guy is unresponsive. So Terry's thinking maybe she'll just order it from the manufacturer and have Gus set it up. Our IT guy. Is that where,
That's where I was thinking.
because the guy who did the first one just doesn't, promises the world, but
That's his ladder.
it's been there now, but.
Well, you can use that for
That's.
Block grant. So, yeah, that was in the first one. Okay. Consider Beverly St. Clair's request to move the donation to the tennis basketball courts to the skateboard park. I don't have a problem with this, but I do want people to understand that the tennis basketball court project isn't dead, it's postponed, and we're still gonna, particularly if we revise what we're doing out there and maybe try to reconstruct one of the courts, I'm not saying we're still gonna need match money, so I wouldn't hate to see a flood of people want to move their money.
Well, that's my question. I mean, we've already told them we have to match. If we lose the 250, have we lost that match? We've gone below.
It was still over.
It was still a little bit over 7,000.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's still okay.
But if we do something major up there, that grant is probably gonna go away, and we're gonna have to reapply for a new grant. But I don't, we don't know what we're doing yet. We just got those test borings back, and I haven't had a chance to reach out to Maine Tennis and Track, but we're getting ahead of ourselves, so that's on the agenda for later, so. But I mean, on the other hand, if someone donates it and they want it somewhere else, I feel an obligation to do that. I just hope this doesn't cause a flood of people to do that. So, is there a motion?
I reluctantly move to allow the money to be moved from the tennis court to the skateboard park.
I'll second that.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? So Terry, that's something, since it was booked in and closed the books, we'll then need to let the auditors
Yeah,
know.
maybe it'll happen.
So she can make that adjustment after the, yes.
Can we spend that?
Um,
Plywood and get those
Yeah.
back on there?
Yeah, we've got a couple other donations. Yeah, that's money available with that.
So,
Yeah, there's money in.
We have a donation from Donna,
Yeah, and I think there was like
um,
$300 in there anyway.
left over from way back when.
so.
So the answer is yes.
How do we spend it? Do I just have our go back?
Talk to Terry.
once And bring in a receipt?
The better way would be
So
to
the EL steering.
go to EL Spirit and have them call Terry, and Terry can authorize them to charge it, and then we don't spend sales tax.
Yeah,
That'd be a better way.
okay.
And they'll do that, as long as Terry's gonna be in the office when he shows up over there.
So, and it'll be where it's plywood and maybe those deck screws.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
you thought, and-
Yeah, I mean, I think anything we can do to fix what I consider to be a very unsafe facility.
and I think that was Beverly's intent, was that this had,
More immediate need, yeah. Yeah, but I'd get with Terry to work out the mechanism on it. Okay. Vote for Representative Searle on MMA's Legislative Policy Committee. I know Jay very well. I don't know Richard. Jay's been on this for years. I think he does a pretty good job representing small towns. And for those who don't know, MMA's Legislative Policy Committee is basically, I think there's 2 representatives from every Senate district. And they gather in meetings, used to be in person, it may now be virtual, with the MMA lobbyists and argue about and take positions on proposed legislation that would affect municipalities. And then the lobbyist sort of from MMA goes to the legislature and tries to influence the legislature to do what this policy committee directs the lobbyists to do. So it's a way of MMA getting input on positions that municipalities should be taking on different bills. So So is there a motion?
I move we vote as a board to support Jake Filer and Richard Erb.
Is there a second
I'll second that.
discussion? All in favor?
I do think they were effective. That horrible bill that I thought got passed, I think it got changed because of some of their efforts. I think they are effective.
Okay. Second, a donation of $850 to the library and community center facility from Andrew Stanikoff. So this is the new account that we set up with the form.
Yes,
Did he fill out a form or?
yes.
He did, okay. Is there a motion to accept it?
I move we accept Andrew Stanhouse $850.
I second that.
Further discussion? Is that our first donation
Yes, it
to
is.
that account? Great. So. off and
I
running.
am, I just realized I had got $100 donation from PEO today to the library for use of our meeting room. You wanna vote to accept that?
Sure, so it's not a fee.
No,
They made a donation.
I
Yeah.
said, no, they were welcome to use our room.
Okay,
And
okay.
they're going to use it monthly. So I
Okay.
assume it was annual. donation.
Well, let us vote on this first. and then-
Okay.
Further discussion on Jeff's motion? All those in favor? Okay, Penny, give me those details again.
It's PEO, the Philanthropic Educators Organization, is going to use one of our rooms monthly for their meetings, and they gave us a donation of $100 today.
Okay, is there a motion to accept that? I don't think that'll be controversial.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
I move that we accept Donna Fifield's donation of $50 to the skateboard park fund.
Second that.
Discussion? All those in favor? Okay, I do think we need to talk a little bit about this. There's been some, Terry's been getting a lot of phone calls since the publicity. This is a discussion regarding LD 290 and active stabilized property taxes for individuals 65 years and older who have had a homestead exemption for 10 years. Well, I don't know, that's.
Yeah, but it's one of the issues.
It's the deadline for the application is December 1st, correct, of this year?
Yes.
But there's no form yet from the Department of Maine Revenue Services. Terry's getting calls for the application, but she doesn't have an application. So Terry has run, what did you have? Tell me what you did, how you got to the rough number of people looking at.
I went back in 2012 and did an exemption report. And all the exemptions we have in the town came off the minute.
Yeah,
It's like 407 homestead exemptions. And when I looked through them, trying to figure out how old people are, I figure about 171 of them are over 65.
the way the law, and then this is why we don't want to do anything with this.
No,
Because the way the law reads is the homestead has to have been here for 10 years. And it can be interpreted that the same people have lived in it. And that during the current year, they're eligible for the homestead exemption. So you don't have to have had the homestead exemption for 10 years, according to what's in the actual law, written in the law. But again, that's always open to interpretation. But the worst part of it is for our town, anybody who applies this year will be based on last year's taxes.
It's my understanding that it's going to be based on this year's taxes and it won't go into effect until 2023.
that's my understanding.
But now, see, and again, this is.
Yeah.
So,
But I was reading it your way first, and then
Right.
people on the list are saying different. and-
But that's a question that's come up, and I think we may need to get some special dispensation to say we had an 18-month year, and
Right.
so we're gonna have to.
So nobody
multiply
would
that.
qualify.
nobody would get any money because they're taxes this year are lower than they were last
Right.
year. So it's silly to even do it. But the worst part of it is that people can apply up until December, but the town can't report it until November.
Yeah.
So there could be 30 days worth of applications that we won't get reimbursed for during the next year. We'll have to wait a full year. So the whole process is broken, I think. And I do not think that they've done a good enough job of defining. Because it's clear. It says it's effective this year. You can apply this year for April's, to stabilize next April's taxes, the following year's taxes. And it would be based on the previous year's taxes, which would have been an 18-month for us, so nobody would really get anything.
Well, the reason I wanted to put it on the agenda is I wanted to get it out there because we get lots of phone calls here about it. We don't have a lot of information. There's more questions than there are answers. It's even more complicated than that. If you lived in Rockland and had a homestead, you can carry it here.
Correct.
But I do think the one thing we can expect with a high degree of certainty is we're gonna get a proposed amendment to our assessors contract. Because our assessors contract, because this is gonna be a lot of work for them, and it's every year. Now, the first year will probably be more than out years, but, and we didn't budget for that. And I don't believe that gets reimbursed. I don't know that they will do that, but, I suspect they may,
Oh, it's gonna be a nightmare.
yeah.
This article that was in Central Maine, something, it said homeowners will apply by December 1st this year and qualify will see their tax bills frozen at this year's amount in 2023.
Right.
But I've also seen it the other way, that
Well, revenue services is not only supposed to be sending out an application, it's supposed to be sending out guidance. So hopefully that'll clarify some of this. But I guess the point is, I think at this point in time, I don't know if we should send a letter out to folks or just, I don't know what to do, but I think we gotta be very careful what we tell people in the town office, because we really don't know what's what.
I think that's all we can say is we have.
Right,
we
but I
don't
wanna make
know.
sure that Phil and Crystal are, I don't wanna spread any misinformation, and, because I think it's confusing enough already.
Yes,
On the other hand, I don't want people to miss the December 1st deadline.
right.
There's lots of questions. I mean, does one person have to be over 65? Or if 3 people own the property, do all 3 of them have to be over? Or the 2 out of 3 have to be? I mean, so, that probably works the way the homestead works, which I think is, no, that's not right.
Each one of them.
No, each person doesn't get a homestead, do they?
Yes.
That was only
No,
one.
one
per
I thought it was per property. I would think it'd be one per property.
Yeah,
I think
they're
it's-
just
Oh, no, it's the VA, never mind.
The VA.
I'm thinking the
Because you
VA.
both, yeah. So anyways, more to come on this, but I think, it's gonna come quick. And we also, I feel we should really try to get the word out there. I mean, there's people still coming in today. Who was it? Charlie Brown came in, who's lived here for, I don't know how long, 15 years, 20 years. He didn't have a homestead exemption. He submitted his application, knew nothing about it.
But that's his,
I know, but I
Michelle's
think,
been very good about sending letters out years and years. And
I know,
years.
I just think, that's my point. I think we as a town should try very hard to assist people
Yep.
to take advantage of this,
So do you have to have had that exemption for the past 10
the
years?
homestead exemption.
I do
Or you
not
just
read
have
it.
to
But
have
Jeff
that
disagrees with
property
that.
Right.
and that's-
There are people that are saying you have to have had the homestead exemption for 10 years. I do not read the law that way. They separate homestead and eligible individuals. Eligible individuals you are currently eligible for the homestead exemption. The homestead, the actual property, is eligible if it has been a homestead, defined as a homestead, which is defined in a different law, for 10 years. So it's two different things.
Oh, you're just making it worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say, now I'm confused.
Yeah. So anyway, the point is, more to come, but we need to be prepared to act quickly. We need to get Kevin and the assessing team. I know they're aware of this. I talked to Kevin briefly. They're dealing with this in every town where they're assessors, so they're aware of it, although they don't have any more answers than we do. But, okay, anything else? Okay, discussion on account balances to carry forward. So, so obviously, the things that we want to carry forward are all the donation accounts. I guess that goes without saying. We need to carry forward the money for the Island Road project. Obviously, the tennis court donations. I guess the big question is, of the 20,000 that was raised, or this is my mind, of the 20,000 that was raised for the temporary move to the library, do we want to, we know we're going to spend some of that. We have the sprinklers. And that's about $5,000, something like that.
52.
Okay, do we want to carry all of that forward in anticipation that we still may come up with expenses related to that move? Doesn't mean we have to spend it, but if we don't carry it forward, we don't have that, so.
I think so if my vote counts for anything.
Huh?
I said, I think so if my vote counts for anything.
Well, I think so as well, but I guess I refer to the further. I mean, I think we potentially still have unknowns there. We don't, haven't been in there long enough. Anything else, Terry, that you? Because I have the one without the audit in it. Why didn't we put an audit in this year? I got 15 of them home. Up there. I have those.
Penny, have you gotten someone to do the mortar work and replace that window, or where does that stand?
Like a window? Oh, that, it's not a window replacement.
Oh, it's just the
It's the
the trim?
Yeah, the trim.
Oh, okay.
Which we have treated and built, and so we're addressing it.
Okay.
The mortar, not yet.
But those are things that could be, this money could be used for to carry. it
Yeah, I
forward.
don't think either of them can be real pricey. I think it's the sprinkler system, and while we're talking about that, reservoir is overflowing again, which I said, well, what can we do about that? And he said, oh, nothing, we'll just take care of it when we come every 3 months, but that means I have a wet boiler room floor because the reservoir tank's overflowing, because it has like a toilet float in it. And he said something down here and this pipe gets stuck in the butterfly or whatever, and it makes it overflow. But there's nothing we can do about it. He'll take care of it when he does his 3-month inspection. But they do it and it doesn't last, and now it's wet.
I would definitely call them. I think that's unacceptable to have it overflowing for a year and a week. But back to the agenda item at hand, we have is there any money in that beautification project account still? It's only down to $26. but-
Yeah, something like that, a little bit.
Okay, so that needs to be carried, the donations, the ambulance, the tennis court, the Island Road. Then we have all the capital fund projects, that goes without saying, all the reserve funds. Skateboard park fund, the life loss memorial, let's see, the fuel assistance. Wasn't there something else that we were talking about?
The checking and the library and ambulance checking accounts, is that automatic?
They just automatically
Yeah.
pull.
But they're on the list, yeah. Is that it, Terry, as far as you know, or?
I think so.
Obviously, all things like the Hopkins Fund.
They all
Um,
automatically. go
Yeah, I
forward.
know, I know. Uh, So I guess then the only question is, of the balance remaining from the $20,000, do we want to carry or put it in an assigned fund? Whatever that balance is, you know what that is, about 10,000 or,
18,000,
oh, is it that much?
Kenny's
But didn't we spend, yes, it's 18, but that doesn't count the 5,000 for the.
Right,
Right, okay.
because we haven't spent
Yeah,
that,
so,
yeah.
yeah,
So I thought there was only like 700 spent on the application of the fire marshal's office.
There was two different,
there's a bill to Chuck.
there was two different bills, and then there was a couple little things.
Oh, for the architect?
Yeah.
Oh.
um,
And I do have it printed out here, I can tell you what it was.
No. So anyways, do we want to carry that balance forward? And if there is, I think the auditor would like a motion to that effect. I think we should personally, but. I mean, we don't have to spend it, and if we don't, it'll lapse the surplus at some point, but.
Yeah, so
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Further discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? So if you think of anything else, we can deal with it again. Okay, monthly reports, any questions on any of those? Okay, Amy is not here tonight, so we're, can I have a motion to table the executive session to discuss personnel matter
I would like to do an executive session.
or a personnel matter?
Personnel matter and to discuss code officer.
Okay.
But let's wait till we get everything else.
Okay. And then we had adjustments. The mailer correspondence, this is about the 5th or 6th letter he sent us. I understand that there is something in the works at this point. And Kristen has drafted a letter for Dan to send him, and to send Wilson regarding his intentions on that site.
Yeah, and as soon as I see that letter, then I'm gonna send something to.
Okay, and that's, it's not finalized yet, and it's not public information yet. We got a draft of it today, so. I think they need to settle that before we talk about that.
Yes.
Terry, you want to talk about oil bids?
Yes, I had sent you, an email from Andy that he was looking for, if we were interested in locking in our bid price and
Andy, the county administrator.
And we get a definite response from any of you either way. So I reached out to Wendy and asked her if we said, yes, we were interested in it, would that commit us to buying into it? And it will not until he gets a price and he says, this is a lock-in price. If we say yes, then we're locked in. If we say no, we can walk away.
Yeah, I responded to you. It wasn't definitive, but my inclination was not to do it at this time. I didn't realize that if we participated, that we didn't have to participate.
Yeah, I didn't either, the way it was written,
Yeah.
but that's why I got
Because of course, no one ever knows. And if I knew the price of oil a week from now, I'd be a billionaire, right? But but my gut tells me we've crested. Unless all hell breaks loose somewhere. So when are those due?
not until he gets back to us with a,
Okay, and then he's gonna give you a date, like a day to decide, you know?
yeah, he'll say, this is the price I'm gonna lock in, are you interested?
So how are we gonna deal with that decision? Since we won't be meeting and we can't make decisions outside of meetings. we can each give you our own opinion and you can make the decision.
I think last time they gave us a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah.
Typically do.
Well, they typically, my experience is they don't because
On this.
because the oil is, they're gonna buy it that day, or the next day. I mean, it's a pre-buy.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember last year we walked in, but I don't remember
Okay,
how we did.
well, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, but I think we could each individually give you our opinions and then you can make the decision. That's not a decision that we make.
The tower.
Yes.
Yeah. You can weigh our lofty opinions and,
And you'll be getting rid of the propane, right?
yeah, that's not part of this bid though, right? I mean, it's,
Right now.
right, this is just a.
Propane is Dead River, but I do want to talk to you about that sometime. I guess when they take over the lease, we stop the propane
Right.
at the schoolhouse.
Yeah, that's my understanding, right? They're responsible for all the utilities.
And they never paid bill.
Even for their piece? Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, they really didn't use that much compared to the library.
Yeah.
And they built the bathrooms and the kitchen, so it was kind of a
Yeah,
trade-off.
I guess we won't revisit that. Just real briefly on the tennis basketball courts, I did get the borings back. I sent her copies to you that we did. It's pretty good news. There's a pretty good sub base there. And the lady from Summit Engineering, Geotechnical Engineering, said that, wanted me to reach out to Maine Tennis and Track, who's been helping and advising me on this, to find out exactly what would be the ideal stratification, and she's gonna get the report in. I haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I will. But I thought that was good news. I did share it with our little working group. So at some point, we're gonna have to make a decision, you know, what we want to do out there. Do we want to pull the trigger and really try to go and rebuild one court maybe, or do we, and patch the better one, or do we want to just try to patch them again and throw away, in essence, $15,000 patching them? So, but that's not a decision for tonight, but, you know, so, okay. We have a proposed agreement from DOT to tee up, we talked about this before, the southern end of Waterman's Beach intersection, do away with those severe, when I say tee up, it obviously wouldn't be
One in and one
it
out.
wouldn't be a hard tee, it would be a curve tee, for lack of a better word, but basically come right through the island. They are willing to do, which several people over the years have wished we would do, because people cut that corner and can't see, blah, blah, blah. So under the agreement, DOT would do all the sign work, excavation, bringing in fill, removing the old pavement on the outer stretches, and the town would be responsible for paving, and it's only about 500 or 600 square feet, not much, and loaming and seeding. I would recommend that we do it. I talked to Brian several times, and Brian, the engineer from DOT. I also talked to Performance Paving, who assured me that even though it's a little tiny job, they would come down and pave that little section. Even if they had to do it some evening or something, they would work it into their schedule, even though they're busy. But so, but they need to know.
You have one question. It
Yeah.
says it's till October 23, or should that have been 22?
Thank you. We talked about this summer. So they're talking about doing it, and they're talking about doing it in the,
I don't know.
oh, I don't know,
And then in the email, it said,
this summer.
yeah.
Yeah, they're talking about doing it in a couple of weeks,
Yeah, so I was curious about why. Maybe they put a year in there.
just to close it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can ask them if you want, but I really don't think the date is material to our decision. Because I hope to have it long done by then.
So I would make a motion to authorize the chair to sign.
Is there a
I
second?
second that.
Okay. Further discussion? All those in favor? Okay. And we did budget. We did budget money for that, and I actually think we budgeted probably there a little more than we needed because the area they're doing is even smaller than I thought it was gonna be, so. Even though asphalt's gone up 33% the last couple of months, so. Okay, which brings me to the next adjustment, which is complicated. Island Road. The project is well underway. The elevation changes project, that is. And if you remember, back several months ago, Hager indicated to us, we approached them actually and said, look, while you're here, we're planning to pave Island Road anyways. While you're here and you're gonna be paving and you're mobilized to pave these two sections, could you give us a price to pave the balance of the Island Road outside of those sections? And they did, and they told us we could lock in. And we did lock in. I don't have my little memo I sent you, but we did lock in. And last week, at the end of last week, I was away, but I got an email that I read Saturday, and they now saying they can't honor the lock-in price. That asphalt's gone up 33%, and they simply can't do it. And it isn't just us, they've walked away from some other things. So I did talk to Performance Paving and validated their per ton pricing. Performance is kind of right there at the same per ton, so it's not like they're fibbing about the price of. But I was a little disappointed they weren't locked in, and I screamed and hollered and stamped my feet and protested, and then that got me nowhere with the guy who was the estimator, but he did tell me to talk to Seth Hager, who's actually running the job down there. I want to talk to him. No luck. So the long and the short of it is the whole budget that we did for paving is, I don't have the numbers. Can I borrow that for a second? Is, and that was an estimate. We're looking at a shortfall in the stuff that was direct paving of about 38,000, and outside of the Island Road, and then about another 38,000 to pave the balance of the Island Road. Again, I'm not talking about the project now, although the project does have a pavement escalator clause in the contract, so we could be looking at something there, but not of that magnitude, but it could be 20,000. So several people have said to me that you might want to wait. Asphalt might come down the end of the year, or you can wait till next year, but it also might go up. We clearly don't have enough money to do everything that we had hoped to do. And we absolutely positively have to pave in the culvert trenches on the Island Road at a minimum. And I did get a price, if we just did that, they're about $2,200 each. So that right there is something, but they gotta be paved in anyway, so. So I don't know what to do. I don't know whether, the expectation is, we told everybody we're gonna pave the Island Road. It certainly needs it, it desperately needs it, but is this the time to do it? Another option is we could pave from Route 73 down to where the project starts by the intersection, pick it up again in the piece between the intersection and the second piece by the pound, which ends at the bridge, and call it good. So it would be paved from the bridge to 73 right through, and fill in the 3 culverts up above, and maybe a little patching here and there. That's one option. Or we could go for it and do the whole Island Road and then steal it from money that we had budgeted for either Village Road or Stump Dump Road, which is in really bad shape.
How bad is I mean, I've driven it a lot. I can't really think.
Uh,
How bad is the rest of the island road?
Well, I think we could cut out some pieces. We could cut out the piece from past the co-op to McCool's. That's not bad at all. And you don't get a lot of heavy trucks down in there. I mean, it's some going to McCool's, but we could cut out the piece, I think, going down the hill. That would save some tonnage. But we're still gonna be paying a lot per ton, you know what I mean? So, we also were gonna, you know, as part of the Island Road, we were gonna do just a few feet up, on the rock ledge where it's all delaminated there, maybe up, you must be familiar with it, maybe up 40, 50 feet there, right as you start up the hill, that would be part of it. And I do think that needs to be done, because the plow's catching it and delaminating more. So, but, you know, everything is volatile and changing, and so I said I would talk tonight with you guys, see what you wanted to do. I mean, I think on one extreme is we shut everything down with the exception of paving in the 5 culverts and just patching them in with hot top, not cold patch. So they'll last pretty good. And doing a little DOT project that we just talked about. And that's it. I mean, other than the project, where they're gonna be digging it up. That's one extreme. The other extreme is we just spend all the money and try to do as much as we can and see how far it gets us. And I, you know, I'll try to pick what I think is the worst areas, and which will give us somewhat of a patchwork here and there. And kind of anything in between. So I don't know how you want to handle this, if you want to sort of, I mean, one part of me says, you know, let's do a couple of things or something and just make a little progress. Another part of me says, you know, geez, just wait, but then it's going to be more expensive. So I want to hear your thoughts and questions.
I think the price is gonna go down, but I think it's gonna be next year.
But remember now, we could pay before July 1st and it's still in our budget. Because the budget year changes. If we can get people to come, but even if we didn't, we could carry that forward if we had a commitment, a contract, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, see, and that's the other hard thing.
So, my recommendation would be this, that we do the little piece at 73. We fill in the culverts beyond the bridge, the 3 of them, and do a little bit of patching here and there. And I say patching, I'm talking about cutting them out and make it good, not just throw in a hole, like some, you know, like they did this year. You know.
Yeah.
And then pay from 73 to the project, then a piece in between, and then the project takes to the bridge. And then let's wait. And maybe, I don't know, I'd like to. And then maybe wait and see what happens over the summer.
Yeah, I think that's the best option.
I would agree with that.
And I know a lot of people in the honor are being happy, but, and I've been telling everybody, oh yeah, but I am upset with Hager when I talked to, I rode around this morning with the guy from Performance, and he was kind of shocked. He said, well, we had 2 or 3 in Camden, and we honored them. He said, we lost a shirt on them, but we honored them. So, and I told Hager I was gonna be talking about this publicly tonight, and he said, do what you're gonna do, we do too. He said, we can't put ourselves out of business. And it isn't just this project, but it's, so,
No, Tom,
yes.
what about off Island Road? Stump dump, are you thinking of skipping all?
I'm thinking about, personally, my recommendation would be to hold off and see what happens. And maybe do it this fall if it comes down.
Yeah. But,
Uh,
I mean, I've been there, it's not dump, but even if it's bad, it's.
Well,
you can
except-
drive slow.
I know, but that's true, but on the other hand, it's really cracked and it's bad, and once the water starts leaking in, you can lose the whole thing. It's
Was
like,
that it, just the stump?
no, we were gonna
Were we
do,
gonna do
we
the?
were gonna do a piece, a good sized piece,
Okay.
on Westbrook Street. We were actually gonna, chew it up and repave it, pack it where the road's kind of slipping apart there, you know, you can see it. We're gonna do that, we're gonna do Stump Dump Road, we're gonna do Village Road,
We're going to do some here.
we're gonna do all around out here. The other option is, can we use some of our AARP funds, AARP funds for some of this? But, you know, it's not a huge amount of money when that. But maybe around here, I don't know. I think we should wait until the fall with the exception of the things that I talked about and monitor the price. I found out how to monitor it right on the DOT website, the price of asphalt, so. But because they're up against not only is asphalt went up 30%, but diesel fuel to haul the stuff.
Right.
So,
So would basketball courts just,
well, I think we're waiting on that anyway.
do you think we can move the gate?
Yeah.
That would be good.
Yeah, but we can't, but if we move the gate, we're not gonna be able to charge it to the grant. But we can buy a gate. I don't think we should even move the gate. I think we should just
Bye.
buy a gate over at Tractor Supply. You can buy a gate for $100 over there. You need a couple of timber posts. And, I mean, I'll donate for that.
I think it'd be a good idea because, you know, I've got people who said, well, I want to go look at the tennis courts, but they were closed.
Yeah,
I said, well, you got park here and walking.
yeah, we can do that. We'll make that happen.
Yeah.
That's not a
Hadn't
huge,
you talked at some point about, I don't know how much ARPA money is there, but there was some category for dealing with climate change and Island Road could qualify. Because you're talking about, the cause of the problem is
Well-
the water rising.
well, that's the project. The project is actually pretty well covered. I
So
do,
you're just trying to cover. the-
I'm talking about the areas outside of the project. But one thought that I had is if we do get hit with I'm getting ahead of myself, if we do get hit with an escalator on the project and it's say 20 grand, maybe we could use the ARP funds for that and say that's a climate change related. But I don't even want to suggest that because they haven't brought it up yet. So, all right, I think I got some direction. I'm just gonna, sometimes I just have to use my best discretion because I gotta make quick decisions because so I'm trying to do the best I can. I hope you guys just kind of trust me. I think if someone comes and says, you know, I can do this right now, I got an afternoon, you know, off Thursday, I mean, you know, I'll grab something like that if I can, so. Sorry about all this too. I feel bad, but I feel a little, I don't want to say betrayed, but I feel a little, like, I mean, to me, locked in is locked in, and you know, I
was a little surprised.
Yeah.
It's atypical, but.
Yeah.
But then.
I also understand what they're up against. So, okay. And, you know, I think if we don't end up paving all the Island Road, that, you know, I'll write something up and get it on the listserv and I'll try to get it out on there's a Spruce Head Island email list. I'll try to get it out on that. And so people, and I'll talk to the guys at the co-op and just, you know, tell them what's going on. I think everybody can understand, you know, we're talking, you know, $88 a ton to 115 a ton. I mean, that's a huge increase, so. Okay. Anything else? Enough babbling. On my part. Have any other things on the adjustments? So we have. Okay, we gotta schedule future meetings. We have a workshop the 14th tomorrow. You can't make it, is that correct?
Not tomorrow.
I mean,
On
Thursday.
At 4:30.
4:30,
Yeah, I can be there.
Oh, I thought you said you couldn't.
No, I can't be there. I have to be at another meeting at 6.
Well, this room is gonna be overtaken at 6, so we gotta be out of here by 5:30, 20, because people are gonna start wandering. Although it's a public meeting. So we normally would meet, you're the calendar man,
Yeah.
but Sue's not gonna be here, I know.
On the 26th.
Yeah, the 26th.
What? Okay, you figured out how to get home?
Oh, I've just had a horrible day with this GPS.
Sorry. So, we got a lot going on. I do think we need to meet. What's the, well, let's back up a little and talk, go out a little bit, talk about the commitment. So Terry, Kevin said he's not gonna be ready to process the commitment until probably the 1st of August,
Yeah,
late July,
late July.
1st of August.
He will be here tomorrow.
Okay,
I mean, Thursday.
well, that doesn't do us any good.
No, that's,
So,
yes, no, he was.
so, and you're
He
going,
said it would depend on how much Kevin Jay got done today.
yeah,
So, but yeah, the end of
and you're going when?
July 31st, August 7th.
Okay, so the tax bills aren't gonna go up before then anyways. So why couldn't we set the mill rate shortly after you're back?
Yep.
Which would be, what would be the Tuesday after she's
The
back?
9th.
And that should give Kevin time to be ready. Is the 9th good for you? Is it good for me? I always forget to check for myself.
What time?
It's probably 6, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. Oh, God.
Is that all you'll do on the 9th, or you?
No, I
you
don't
have
think
a regular
so. I
meeting?
think we'll have a regular meeting, but we can do that first. And then let them drive to Newport or wherever they drive to. I'm good on the 9th. Okay, so let's set the 9th for the commitment. And just tell Kevin, I would tell Kevin, he needs to be ready. Now, of course, the other thing is, the other fly in the ointment here is, what's his name available that night?
Rob.
Because Kevin can't manipulate the commitment. And will we have our surplus by then? From Mindy? I think we're,
I would think. so.
I think we're close enough.
Yeah.
I think I can figure it pretty close there. So let's plan on that. We can always change it. Now,
And just so you know, this will be the first year we don't have all the numbers. Because we won't have the second half.
no, we got a whole bill. The school? Yeah, we've got county bill
No,
due this year.
That's through December, right? We won't have the county.
Yeah, but we don't pay that till the next fiscal year. Right?
Right, it's due in the fall.
We only get the county bill.
Okay,
once. Yeah,
good.
and the school bill we have, we'll finally have a real number.
Right. So now I've got the school bill.
We're on the same fiscal year as they are now, and we have and we should have our homestead exemption right, because that's always off, because the state's on, yeah. Good. So I do think we need to squeeze a meeting in between the, before the 9th. Or at least get one. At least get one on the tentative calendar. So what do, anybody got any thoughts? It doesn't have to be a Tuesday. I guess I should ask,
You can't do the 26th.
I cannot do the 26th.
so I guess I should ask,
Or the
is there a night that typically is bad for you or better for you?
Not typically.
Okay, so Tuesday, we can, there's a rule, Tuesday's not a problem.
I say that until basketball season comes. I'm working.
Why, they play on Tuesday nights?
Tuesdays and Thursdays usually, or Tuesdays and Fridays, yeah.
Okay, well.
But that's not until November.
Okay,
So,
no, that's not that far away.
I know.
Someone mentioned Labor Day the other day. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to change to Wednesday or something by that time, but we'll figure it out at that time. So, anybody got any thoughts for July?
How about the 19th? That's next week. Next Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think we need one that quick, do we? The 27th?
I'm gone the 26th, 27th.
Oh, okay, 25th? I prefer not to do the 28th if at all possible. I have a family issue going on that day that I kind of like to be home for.
25th.
25th?
It's a Monday.
Yeah, so we need to make sure people get that. Is the room, what about fire department?
Oh, the fire department meets on Mondays.
Every Monday?
Got it marked out for a Monday. They do truck nights and we can make them grumpy and I could text them and ask them if we can have it.
Theoretically, you could meet at the library, we've got Wi-Fi, but we're gonna have.
We don't have the owl,
Then we could go to old, well, we bring it with us.
we could.
It's affordable.
That might not be a bad idea. anyways.
Yeah, I think that's actually a good idea.
And since we're changing the date
Well,
for
confuse
Monday,
everybody.
we'll confuse everybody by changing.
Make it a quick meeting.
Yeah, and maybe we won't need it. Maybe we won't need it. Like I said, I remember the days when we took July off, so. No, oh, the clock's gone.
So we did.
It wasn't, you couldn't hang it at half.
8:30.
8:30, okay.
We still keep.
So 6 o'clock on the 25th.
I think that's, and at the library community.
In the learning center.
Okay,
It has a piano now. So you know.
I saw you moving it.
You want to look at another one in August?
Yeah, let's look at another one.
23rd, keep it normal.
23rd works for me.
That's okay.
Good. So I'm gonna try to do the commitment on the night. Good.
I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised.
I hope. Anything else we need to do? You want an executive session, discuss a personnel matter? I think we covered everything here. Okay, is there a motion to enter executive? Do we have, Walter used to have that.
I got it.
You got it?
In accordance with chapter 13, paragraph 4056, A for personnel matter.
Make a motion to enter executive session. Second. Okay, further discussion? All those in favor? Yeah, probably ought to, so.